I've seen just about everything. Seen queens overthrow kings, and straights flushed away. I felt the sweat after every re-raise, and nearly buckled after bad beats. Seen rags lead to riches, and witnessed countless miracles on the river. So if you want to play, take a seat and show me something I haven't seen. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
Diego Cordovez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker.
You know, we have a strict metric. 3 bracelets per episode. Now,
Right.
Phil is
We're
going to
rounding.
be in a deficit,
Yeah.
so he'll have to win one more.
He's
But
going to
this
owe
is
us
going to
one.
be part 4.
He's going to owe us one. This is part 4. This is going to wrap it up, but it's really been a lot of fun with him. I think you started to answer this, which I was genuinely curious about, which is, you know, you're very successful and you're certainly doing well outside of poker and inside of poker. So what was your main motivation for taking on the coaching assignment? Because for almost anyone else, the money would be highly significant to them. In your case, it's money, but it's not life-changing by any means.
And
even if
Jeff
you win.
Shulman's too good a negotiator.
And the Shulmans, you don't want to negotiate against,
Yeah,
that's
I
for
know
sure.
I know it.
But, you know, you have you always generate a lot of publicity, so for other people this might be a high-profile gig. For you, you know, it's an incremental thing because you're very present in the media. So what was the real motivation? I know you're friends with Jeff, but...
Well, I do. It was like the easiest choice ever for me. Yeah, to coach somebody, I just feel like I can take someone and I can give them a much, much, much better chance of winning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, some of the players I could give them like, you know, a 50%, 60, 70% better chance of winning. Some of these people I can actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff already plays a little bit like me. I'm going to help him out a lot. I don't know what the percent's going to be. Let's not debate that. So I have a chance to help somebody. And I'm going to be at the World Series of Poker anyway. And I've never really coached anyone before. People pay me $20,000, $25,000 for a day's worth of lessons sometimes. Or I'll do some seminars. I'm doing one, by the way, in the state of Oregon. I'm doing Phil Hellmuth's tour across Oregon, where we're going to do seminars for 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fun for me. It's fun. And I also think the concept of helping Jeff win, I just love.
Mm-hmm.
Because in 2000, I was the one that kept him. He got completely screwed. And I at the 2000 World Series of Poker,
Right.
he opens for like 200,000. The blinds are 15-30. He's opening for these huge numbers.
Yep.
That's almost 7x, 200K. And Chris Ferguson, he's on the button, and Chris Ferguson decides to raise 600,000 with 6s, 650 or whatever. And Jeff makes the call with 7s.
Mm-hmm.
He was right.
Right.
Now,
this is all in at this point.
all in for Chris Ferguson.
Yeah.
And this is 2/3 of the chips in play or more.
Well, let's just say this. There's about 1.7 million in the pot. TJ Cloutier has 400,000, and if Jeff wins this pot, which he's 4.5 to 1 favorite to, he's going to have 3.2 million.
Yeah.
To TJ's 400K, and they're going to come back the next day. They're 7-handed when this hand comes up.
It's
They only have to
crazy.
lose one more.
The whole situation was crazy.
So Ferguson, you know, makes this move, and you know what? It comes to 6. And I remember it came like 3-6-10, and because I still remember this hand, because I mean, and the turn was the 4 of diamonds. Now Jeff needed a diamond, a 5, or a 7 going into the river. He had a flush draw, a straight draw, and a 7. And I remember Chris shouting for 10, 10, 10, bam, 10. And Chris called the last guy. You know what I mean?
He's good at
I remember
that.
that
He's good
too.
at
I mean,
that.
what was that about? And so you know, now Chris wins this huge pot, and then Jeff picks up. TJ opens up with enough chips to commit himself with jacks.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff moves all in with kings, and Chris Ferguson wakes up with aces in
Right.
the big blind.
Playing 7-handed.
Right.
And even after the first hand, the thing people forget is that Chris was still the only person who had Jeff covered. So
Still
he's
the
still
only
the only
person.
guy who can knock him out. and that's the guy who picks up aces when he picks up kings. It would have been
Right.
a bad beat already.
So Chris hits Miracle Miracle. Nothing against Chris Ferguson.
No, he's a great player.
Of course,
But Chris
yeah.
hits Miracle Miracle, and Jeff just gets completely screwed. Now I'm handling the internet coverage on this deal, right? I mean, back then I was piping it out live to the world. No one else was really doing it. I mean, I was kind of a pioneer there too. I was the first guy to carry a clunky old cell phone around and put these live on the internet, and we had thousands of people listening.
Ultimate
then.
Bet was providing this coverage, and you were literally, I remember you and Annie, I think, talking into a cell phone, passing it back and forth.
Exactly.
Can you imagine?
And we'd have commentators
Al
that would
Michaels
come.
and John
And,
Madden passing a cell phone. back and
I remember
forth
this
to
now.
them
You know what? This is now coming back to me because I didn't even know Jeff then. So I think all three of us agree that Jeff deserves to win.
yeah, and I mean, I kept him. The next day, I felt so bad for him. What happened to him? And I brought his name up constantly on my, on my cell phone the next day, on the live internet broadcast, and I wrote articles about it. And I kind of had a soft spot in my heart for Jeff, from that point forward.
So
to
really
now see him, and then you guys know that I bought a piece of Card Player magazine, and
You're part of, I mean, but it's more personal than anything else.
But you're part of the Card Player family.
I'm part of the family. Yeah, exactly. And so I mean, to coach him is like perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Jeff hasn't had any advantages in life, so Phil has taken him up.
That too, right?
Yeah.
He's built,
Yeah, he's done it
pulled
all.
himself up by his
With his
bootstraps to this. No, but it sounds like there's a personal part of it, and also it's fun. I mean, I think
fun,
what you're saying
too, yeah.
before is, if we're going to be there, I say this for myself, if we're going to be there at the final table, we might as well at least be in a semi-participatory role.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I
a
would
lot more
have.
fun to have someone you're really...
Right, I would have flown
With.
home. Last night I played in the PGA Tour Pro-Am. So I would have flown home last night had I not been coaching Jeff. So basically I'm staying in town Thursday, Friday, and probably part of Saturday just to coach. I also coached Wednesday night. So that's kind of 2.5 days I wouldn't be here. And in some sense I can charge 25 to 50,000. My going rate's 50,000 a day. I could have probably, or I could have been home with my family. Now I only have one son left at home, and he's already a junior in high school, so I feel entitled to travel more. Plus,
Right.
Justin Timberlake is giving me backstage passes for his concert Saturday night, so I'll just fly my kids in for that.
So, just in summation, this is going to be a grand experiment. You may have a future coaching career as well as many more bracelets to look forward to.
No, but you I think you were alluding to something earlier also, which is like in baseball and in football, some of the greatest players have proven to be failures as coaches and managers because their expectations for the players are too high. They had so much natural ability that they didn't spend a lot of time really thinking about all the grinding they needed to do. And so, a famous example is Ted Williams as a manager. He thought everyone else should be able to see the ball when it hit the bat and be able to read the pitches right out of the pitcher's hands. So, in a sense, it is an experiment in the sense that players have gotten coaches, but no one's had a coach really of your accomplishments, of your stature. I mean,
Look, even if Jeff got unlucky and didn't make the final, say 3, you know what I mean? Even if that happened, the people that will know how good the coaching was is someone like you'll be there, and you'll be able to say, "Wow."
of course,
the
Phil did
results
fantastic.
itself.
We cannot
the results
base it only
itself
on
is
results,
not, of
right.
course.
Exactly. I mean, you said our first session was fantastic. So, and I think look, nobody knows Hold'em like I do, and I think I'm going to improve his chances by a lot.
And Jeff can play
So we'll
perfectly
see.
and finish ninth. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
nature
Yeah,
of poker,
that's-
as we all
yeah.
know. One last wrap-up thing.
That happened to him in 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, as an example. We've seen it in other tournaments. One last wrap-up thing. You've talked about how your legacy is the bracelets, and even before this epiphany, you've always been very vocal about measuring bracelets and final tables and World Series accomplishments and so forth. When you and Doyle and Johnny Chan were all tied with 9, you were super motivated, talking about it all the time. Then Johnny Chan won, I think. He was the first guy to get to 10. And that lit a fire under you. You were playing every tournament and you were fired up. And then not only did you tie him, but then you surpassed him, which is, in the day of these huge fields, a huge accomplishment. Now this summer, I hadn't really played with you in a while, but this summer we were at a couple of tables together. And one day, we were like on the second day, and you had a lot of chips, and you went on the break to play Chinese poker, and then you never came back the rest of the day. They just bagged up your chips for you, and you'd been gone for like 6 hours or something. And I thought, it didn't hurt you a lot, but if you're really trying to be the all-time bracelet holder, and if you're going to be such, even though you're the leader, you're going to need to put some cushion in because guys are gaining.
Young guys.
Yeah, guys who are a lot younger than we are. So is the motivation now different? Was that an exception, or
Well,
what was going on?
Well,
Because that
you're
doesn't jive with the...
Yeah, you're asking about a specific day. I happen to remember that day.
Okay.
That was limit hold'em. So I showed up maybe 2 or 3 hours late playing Chinese poker. I came down, and the rush of cards that I had, I don't know if you remember, was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Win. So like within like 20 minutes, I'd already like tripled up. In a limit hold'em tournament, you know how hard that is to do? Just winning every pot. And then I thought, wow, this is great. I'm doing better when I'm like just showing up for brief periods. Went right back to Chinese poker.
Okay.
Came back in 20 minutes, boom, 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 boom again. And I thought, wow, there's kind of a flow here.
Right.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm just hitting the deck. And you know, and whenever I was starting to get a little, whenever I'd lose a pot, then I'd kind of just go back to playing Chinese poker. I don't think in that specific case it hurt me. Now that was a tournament where I ended up, and I didn't, and you're exaggerating, I didn't leave for 6 hours and then my chips, I might have been gone 6 hours total.
Okay, but you didn't come back for the end. You left, you missed like the last session and a half or 2 sessions or whatever.
It's possible that happened. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was sitting on like 20,000 and the blinds were 50 and 100, and I knew it was going to cost me like 500, then it's possible I didn't, or if it was something similar to that.
Right.
Maybe the blinds were 1 and 2, and I had 23,000 or something.
So you feel that enhances your chances of winning?
I feel
Because it
that
puts you in the
some
right
days,
mood.
some days you have to do things that are, you know. I know that day I was also struggling to. Poker was easy when I was hitting the deck, but I was getting frustrated easily when I'd lose a pot for some reason, and so that day I didn't really mind the flow. Day 2, I was pretty much at the table the whole day.
Yeah.
And then I think
So
you and I. But what did you finish in that tournament, by the way?
I'm not sure, but I was
Day
in the
2,
last-
you and I played till
maybe-
midnight or 1 or 2 in the
Yeah,
morning.
no, of course. It's a
I
lot.
know. I made the final 2 tables, and that was the one where I
Yeah.
had 10s, and it came 10-8-4, and the guy wouldn't stop raising me.
So maybe counterintuitive, but knowing yourself, you feel like that gives you a better chance of winning. Even if you're, I mean, you would say, well, you should be at the table, there's some weak players there, you can accumulate more chips, but if you're not in the right mood, or if this is going to put you in a better mood later.
I do believe in that. I do believe that in non-traditional thinking, I don't always think that being at the table the whole time is my best chance to win. I think that it does help me to come in late, and now that you can buy in 2 hours late, that's great for me.
Or 8 hours late.
I mean,
Bellagio.
yeah, which I love, which I think everybody loves.
Perhaps, except when they try and start a tournament and people aren't there. I mean, what happened in the 50K horse, some people don't know this year, is that because of the late sign up and because there's no real penalty for signing up late, when they tried to start the tournament, almost nobody was there. So, you know, that's the counter problem that exists.
Well, I mean, I think there's a way to work on that where it will work. I mean, I just think all the people that signed up early should be playing together at the table because that's what they signed up for. And then I think maybe you're supposed to have a lot of the guys that signed up late end up playing together. You know what I mean?
But that's subject to manipulation.
Yeah, see, that's part of the problem.
Yeah, but if you have 200 people show up late, what kind of manipulation are you talking about? Isn't it random if it's 200 people? Your manipulation you're talking about is if 18 people sign up late.
I
Well-
still increase the chance.
Yeah.
There are creative solutions.
It mixes things up.
I would say this: whoever signs up late, those tables should break first. You know, but you can't. But it's much better to have 200 people sign up late and play together, in my opinion, than it is to, you know, have people play 4 or 5-handed when they sign up for a 9-handed tournament.
Next year, I expect to see you at the table for more time, and I expect some bracelets. D?
Yes,
It's not necessarily more time, but
I want some bracelets.
more
Well,
bracelets.
the one thing is I'm very confident. Obviously, we're going to see a lot more of you. It'll be fun to watch as you continue the bracelet quest. Short term, as we air this, it's going to be the November 9, and we're all going to be there.
We've got the Bellagio
supporting-
tournament that by the time this is airing,
Yeah.
I'll be playing in.
Yes, of course. And
And I expect to go deep, frankly. I expect to go old school tactics, and if I don't pick up any hands, I'll still make the end of the day.
I like it.
I love that strategy. I don't think they can beat me using that strategy.
So now, I mean, we've had a departure, but now we're back to old school Phil from this day forward.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to mix in some moves.
Of course, and there's tweaks, but I'm saying fundamentally the way
fundamentally I'm back
the way that
to
you won 11 bracelets.
fundamentally I'm back to super tight play. Absolutely.
And November 9, we're gonna all be there in Jeff's corner, and we're gonna see how that works out, which will be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, November 9.
It'll be a big deal.
It'll be interesting to see whether Jeff comes up to us at all during the tournament. That we've left that option open. Sometimes you see more at the table when you and I were talking about how we can just call hands from the sidelines.
A lot easier than at the table.
Oh my God! I mean, I was telling you about how I was in the
that.
5th row of the tournament, and someone raised, and it was on TJ. It was a WPT, and I said TJ has aces. I was telling you that story last night, and everybody looked at me like I was on what are you talking about? Because I hadn't talked for 10 minutes, and he re-raised and he showed aces. You know, so you can see
it's a whole
things.
different thing. Absolutely. Well, just when they were down to 2 tables and we were watching the lead up to the November 9, I was watching right overhead from the table with Mark Gragorich, and we saw some hands play out, and then Mark said, "This guy's about to go off for all his chips," and of course he did almost instantly, because you could just see people's emotions so clearly. So Phil, we appreciate you coming by.
Thank you, Phil.
You come by for a while, and you did your own public relations as well, sending out tweets and texts promoting the show. So you're a superlative guest from that standpoint.
It's nice to see some old friends, and we'll be playing together with Barry and Jeff, and we'll have a 5-6 hour coaching session starting right now.
All right.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. Right just at The Scoop at cardplayer.com.
I see you. Your eyes. Your hands. Your chips. Everything. So I don't need to see your cards. We play at fulltiltpoker.com.